Hello everyone, in this video I would like to review the two DACs I use, the Qudelix 5K for portable use and the Qudelix T71 for desktop use. So starting off with the Qudelix 5K, this is a very popular device because it has built-in parametric equalization for up to 10 filters, I believe. You can also adjust the right and left channels independently. It has phenomenal battery life. You can just use Bluetooth and have it in your pocket and then have your phone just in your hand. You don't need anything connected to it. It can only do 256 kilobits per second AAC on Bluetooth with iPhone, but you know, I've done all these blind tests and I am able to tell the difference, but that also means I know specifically what the differences are, and the difference is really not anything that significant, especially when you're walking around outside. This is not really something you're paying much attention to. And this really is like one of the perfect DAC amps you can get for mobile use. There's no audible noise or distortion with the moondrop variations or other high sensitivity IEMs I tried. It just does the job with no complaints, really. This is like really honestly a perfect design. And as for latency, with Bluetooth there is a bit of noticeable latency, but again, like, this is something that really doesn't matter, especially if you're just walking around outside. When you're listening to music, you just press play and then, you know, it presses play and then you type something and then there's like some slight latency, but no one really cares. I measured the round trip latency of the Qudelix 5K using my Odyssey LSD5 into the Motu M2's microphone input. So it's a little bit of a janky test, but I got 55 milliseconds. Using the Motu M2 for this test as the output, I got 13 milliseconds. So, I mean, even then, like, using this in wired mode, I didn't notice any noticeable latency, so I don't really care. But the T71 does actually have a bit lower latency in this test at 31 milliseconds, so it is technically 24 milliseconds lower in latency than the Qudelix 5K. So, I mean, for that alone, you might as well just use this for desktop use because, I mean, what are you gonna really get by using higher latency? Nothing really. So another feature of this is that it has higher output voltage, so this can output up to 4 VRMS bounds, this can output up to 8 VRMS bounds. Using this with Odyssey LSD5 is not really enough because the current output of this is not sufficient for the LSD5. It's just going to start clipping. There was some issue I had with the 2.5mm jack, and there's some other like bugs with this device, like I'll switch to 3.5mm, then switch back to the 4.4mm, and then it'll only play audio in the right channel until I reset the firmware. So there are some like weird issues, but if I just like keep it and like don't really think about it and don't change anything, it works fine. So I mean, maybe it's just the QC issue, but for my use cases, just using it with 4.4mm into my SMSL SH9 amplifier, it works. But this is really the more special device because honestly for this I would rather just use the mini DSP Flex on my desk. This is like whatever, honestly. I might as well just like get my mini DSP Flex and use that. But for this, you can't use the Qudelix T71 with Bluetooth, but the Qudelix 5K you can. So it really is so convenient to just have this in my pocket with these moondrop variations and this super thin cable. It's a very minimalist setup. You don't really think about the cable or the Qudelix 5K because the cable itself is really light and this thing never leaves your pocket. So honestly, this is probably my favorite audio device I have just because of like the form factor and how many things it can do and how it can improve sound quality. So really the Qudelix 5K is 100% extremely strong recommendation. The Qudelix T71, I really like don't think this is that necessary. You can just get a mini DSP Flex. It's like a little bit more, and you also have more features with that too. But yeah, that's my review of the Qudelix 5K and Qudelix T71.